This news update is brought to you by
This is the 6 p.m. Barbados Today update for Friday, June the 6th, 2014. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. We begin with news of a delay to the start of hearings by the Employment Rights Tribunal into the National Conservation Commission dispute. After a 1.5-hour meeting this afternoon at the Labor Department, where the terms of reference were discussed, spokesperson for the National Union of Public Workers, Delcia Burke, reported that the next meeting will take place in about 2 weeks' time.
I am a little bit concerned that it's going to take longer than I had anticipated, but I am satisfied with the terms of reference of the tribunal. We are looking at the way forward. We should meet again probably next 2-3 weeks to thrash out the matters.
The Barbados Workers Union was not present for today's session, but General Manager of the NCC, Keith Neblett, said he was happy with today's meeting.
We've agreed with both unions that it goes to the Employment Rights Tribunal, and I think what was that this afternoon was a whole set of administrative matters, and I think the way it's going, I think it will work. I mean, everybody certainly will have their say, and I think the independent body certainly will have the jurisdiction to make that decision, and we will follow whatever the decision is.
And the head of the tribunal, Tracy Codrington, declined to comment. In other news, the Barbados Agricultural Development and Marketing Corporation is defending the importation of a container load of chicken wings that is destined to arrive on the island tomorrow. Barbados Today understands that the shipment of 24,005 kilograms of the poultry product is being imported by Paul's Enterprises Limited, operators of the Lucky Horseshoe restaurant, and that it has been sanctioned by the BADMC. However, the company has agreed to waive its right to import a second container of chicken wings, pending the outcome of a study that is to be completed by June the 30th. The position is contained in a letter dated May the 30th and addressed to the Chief Executive Officer of the Barbados Agricultural Society, James Paul. In it, the BADMC expresses its position that local poultry industry cannot satisfy the domestic demand for chicken wings. The corporation is also contending that its annual import quota works out to be the equivalent of 140,000 kilograms per month, and that the disputed shipment is only a minuscule 1.42% of its annual quota. In the meantime, the minister responsible for the granting of poultry licenses, Donville Innes, says discussions are continuing on the issue. While not saying much on the controversy, he admits there's need for a review of the current mechanisms.
But when these things happen, what they throw up is the chance for us to revisit the systems we have in place, the monitoring mechanisms we have in place, and to start looking at what are the hurdles that various sectors or industries face and how we can work together going forward. I don't want the local poultry industry to just supply or be able to supply all the chicken wings to Barbados. I want them to start exporting chicken wings. So from my perspective, the conversation has to be about how do we get the poultry industry to that level? How do we start seeing it? How do we start seeing the industry side of it?
Pay up or else. Education Minister Ronald Jones says $28 million is currently owed to the Student Revolving Loan Fund, and he is threatening to name and shame the defaulters.
Meet with the people if you know you owe. And you know you owe because they've written you. They've put some of you in the hands of other lawyers like yourselves and other people, because the lawyers deal with the courts. But pay it back. There's facilitating mechanisms to do that. Otherwise, the public of Barbados going to know who you are.
The minister spoke during a press conference this morning. In other news, BMX 2014 is off and running. The expo opened this morning at the Lloyd Erskine Sandyford Center, where scores of school children toured the annual exhibit and sampled many of the local delights. An excited Bobby McKay, Executive Director of the Barbados Art Manufacturers Association, says this year's expo promises to be the best one yet. Today's showcase saw the largest number of school children in attendance, and organizers are hopeful that the bumper attendance will carry over into the weekend.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
My dad means everything to me. He's my friend, he's my pillar, he's my role model, he's always there. I'm celebrating my dad this Father's Day with Barbados Today. So can you? Write a letter telling us why your dad is #1 to love@barbadostoday.bb and get a chance to win a Samsung Tablet 3. Enter now. The deadline closes on June 12.
Regional news now. One of the Caribbean's point men on health tells tourism officials don't ignore the spread of the chikungunya virus. Dr. James Hospitalis, Executive Director of the Caribbean Public Health Agency, made the plea to industry officials attending Caribbean Week underway in New York. He says there's need for partnerships that will ensure the virus does not affect the bread and butter industry.
It is largely a problem we have to deal with internally. That doesn't mean there's no space or need for external support. COFA works very closely with the U.S. Centers for Disease Control, with the French, the Institut Pasteur, to have a more coordinated approach. We have to step up our vector control, both by government and by householders. So those are some of the major elements: a coordinated response between sectors, a sustained response, educating the public without alarming everyone.
And finally, on the international scene, protests hit the Brazilian city of Sao Paulo 6 days before the World Cup kicks off. Police today stepped in with tear gas as train operators went into day 2 of the strike action, raising fears of unrest during the global tournament. Workers embarked on an indefinite strike yesterday after wages negotiations broke down. Today's action shut down several traveling routes, affecting millions of passengers, including a number of FIFA officials traveling to the World Cup conference. That's been the 6 p.m. Barbados Today update. Join us again on Tuesday at 7 in the morning. Until then, log on to www.barbadostoday.bb. Subscribe to our e-paper and like us on Facebook to get more news and sports. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Have a great weekend.
This news update is brought to you by...
Hi, I'm Red Plastic Bag. Anyone who knows me knows I don't like cold. Sunshine reigns in my country. I love it.
Get your sun power.